I'm John. I'm with the City of Bloomington here. I'm the coordinator for their time of sale program and building inspector with this city also. I suppose most of you are probably here because you're thinking of selling or going to sell your home in the future here. This is a program that the city has enacted or started up in 1995. They had a housing program that they wanted to call the time of sale. They wanted to make sure that the stock of the city housing was in good shape and that items were corrected that related to sanitation, life safety, health, and welfare. We try to address that with this program. There's many things that'll be looked at during your housing inspections. A lot of the stuff will be kind of compared to when your house was built to where it meets now in code. There's going to be a lot of things that, even on new houses, you can't always meet the code requirements on new houses. There's things that we don't ask to be fixed. We always deal with the life safety, health, and welfare part of those items that do need to be fixed. And kind of go through this and do a quick rundown of most of the common things that we'll find. I'd say probably out of 100 homes, we find 75% of these are usually at least the most common of these that they need to be fixed. So almost everyone has them. To keep the time flowing a little bit, I'll ask that you guys keep your questions to the end so I can go through the presentation, because there is a next group that comes in after me. So if you've got any questions now, feel free to ask them before I start out. Anybody? Okay. Time of sale program. We look for smoke detectors in all bedrooms now and each level of a home. Code got changed quite a while ago where they now require smoke detectors in each bedroom. They now require them on each level, and you'll have on maybe a two-story home, you got 3 bedrooms, you'll get 5 smoke detectors. One for the basement, one for the main level, and then each one of the bedrooms will get its own detector. Certain locations of smoke detectors make them operable, and that means you don't want them located outside the bathroom. You don't want them in the kitchen. They shouldn't be located within that corner of the ceiling and wall. There's a 4-inch rule there. So we want to make sure that they're 4 inches out, because smoke does a rolling effect. So they want to make sure that they're installed properly so that when smoke does get there, if it does, that you can get out as fast as possible without anyone getting harmed or hurt. Again, it's one of those things where smoke detectors have managed to save lives within the city here. As soon as this program got implemented, it cut the death rate of casualties and house fires in half since this program came in. So it's very useful. It's a cheap insurance policy. Here we have our locations, our 4 inches that deals with like the corner. The 12-inch max is on a wall. This is a hardwired smoke detector. Best locations definitely are on a ceiling. Walls work fine too. With the detectors nowadays, they're all very sensitive. They've gotten much better over the years, so you won't really have a bad location for them. You can pretty much put them anywhere. Yes, sir.
The placement on the smoke detectors, what if they're not, according to what you were just showing here, what if they're like 2 inches from the wall?
We'd ask for them to be moved, relocated so that they work properly. Thing is, if you put them up in that corner, that room would pretty much have to fill up in order for that smoke detector to go off, unless it's a very sensitive smoke detector. But most of the smoke detectors that we see in the rooms now, they're still older smoke detectors. They're not as sensitive as the new ones that are out today. So we still ask for the placement. Manufacturers have their specification as to where they want those smoke detectors installed. We follow those specifications because we want it to work, we want it to save lives. Again, here's our location on a wall, 4 inches down from the ceiling, not more than 12. This one's a little bit out of that range. It's kind of an iffy call, but it would still work. All apparatus to smoke detectors, they should be in place, they should be operable. This one's missing the cover. They all have to be testable. A lot of security systems have smoke detectors in them. Bad part about it is once you dismantle or disarm the security system, most of them will not operate the smoke detectors. So you got to check that out and see if you do have a security system in your home with smoke detectors, if they're still operable once you eliminate service with them. Again, missing the components, and we got them hanging there too. That's not a good thing. They can't be hanging. They all have to be mounted and fastened to the wall or ceiling wherever they're located. With a lot of the stuff, we'll go to electrical. We make sure that all electrical is enclosed. We don't want shocks. We don't want fires. We want all of our electrical to be the way it should be, and that is installed in a box, all openings closed up, nothing tampered with. And this is what we look for in a lot of homes. This little picture here is kind of an example of a little rough-in of what they're doing. You got a junction box, an outlet, some wires, and some wire nuts there. That all goes together with some of the apparatus of electrical. Cover plates too are also checked. Even if you're missing cover plates, we ask that they be put on. We don't want little kids coming up and turning on the lights and they stick their hands in there and get zapped. That's just not us. We don't do that anymore.
Question on that, do you check the internal wiring in the boxes or a random check?
Random check. Sometimes we do. It depends on what we look for in the system.
Like in the older houses that
in the older houses we do sometimes. We're not actually required or allowed to remove panel boxes. That is for a licensed electrician.
How about just the switch plates and stuff like that?
No, we don't go through and start tearing off switch plates. There's just, we have testers for all of our outlets, which we put through and we can test and see what the polarity of the outlet is, whether it's wired correctly, incorrectly, you know, if it's open ground or if it's ungrounded or if it's neutral reverse, whatever it may be. As long as it doesn't pose a shocking hazard, a fire hazard, or any other situation that could cause or be detrimental to a person, we'll allow it. We ask that you maybe address it at some point. That's up to you. But if it's something that's going to be a hazard, we'll get it addressed.
Thanks.
Sure. Again, with panel boxes, as long as we're on that. There's a lot of panel boxes that are older, maybe 60 amp services. We look at those. We look at the different appliances that are in there to make sure that we're not overfusing those boxes. Sometimes we see multiple boxes or sub-panels that are put on the system. That usually tells us that there's been issues with the electrical system. A lot of times when we see that, we'll call out for certifications. The certification means that a licensed electrical contractor comes in there and tells us or verifies to us whether or not this system is still safe. If it's not safe, it gets corrected. If he's going to put his word to it that it's safe, we'll let it be. Yes, sir.
I've got a 150 amp box breakers. It looks like it was probably upgraded at some point before I purchased the home. How do I know if it's, you know, when I look at it with all the hair dryers now, and home theaters and computers and everything else that's being loaded into the system, how do I know this is an appropriate, you know, or I look at 20 different breakers in here, how do I know that it falls within that 150 amp? Is there an easy way for me to figure that out?
Probably not for you. You're probably not real familiar with electrical. Okay, so the best way to do it is have an electrician come out and check it out. Usually with 150, 200 amp boxes, everything is separated out. You don't have to worry as much about whether or not you're tripping something or another breaker's popping somewhere else. Just because they've separated out all the rooms, maybe the appliances and the garage, they've separated everything out so that it's on its own separate circuit. That circuit is usually sized for the capacity of those things. So it's usually not a problem. It's when you get into the smaller services, the 60 and 100 amps, that people want more. They want to get more electricity feeding other areas, other things, and they start putting more and more things in there. That's when you start seeing these problems of breakers tripping, maybe even tripping more than once or twice a month, like you're 12 times a month or something. That's when you start seeing that. That's where you got to get an electrician in there to check this thing out. With our time of sale, we do check that stuff out. We look for the red flags. So if we see the red flags, that's when we call out and you get an electrician in there. To be proactive, if you have that type of problem now, definitely get an electrician in there. You know, you're saving yourself a little bit of time and money down the road. So
if you have an electrician come in and check your place out, and he finds something wrong and you don't correct it, does he report that to the City of Bloomington then?
No, he doesn't do that. Usually any work that electrical contractors do always entail a permit. We come out there and verify that any work is done correctly and to code.
Well, he pulls the permit.
Yes, he's the one that should be pulling.
Just to inspect you? He has to have that permit?
No, we're getting off in two different tangents here, I think. For inspection, that's a whole nother story. We're doing time of sale here. Any work the electrician does on a permit, with a permit work, is going to be inspected by our electrical inspectors. For time of sale right now, what we look at as time of sale evaluators is we check out the different things with electrical. If we see those red flags, that's where we call out for a certification by a contractor. He's going to verify whether it's right or wrong. If there is any work that's got to be done to the system, there will be a permit involved. We'll verify that that work is correct and to code then. We get to water issues. Water issues involve backflow prevention and also unsanitary conditions. I've gone through many houses in the city where I've seen, and I don't want to say that it's right or wrong, but it's just not right either, to have showers draining to floor drains, laundry tubs draining to floor drains, many things, like even bar sinks going to floor drains. Floor drains are not sized to handle loads of water. They're meant to keep an air trap there and use for clean out, and in case of any kind of water that does spill there, it gets to the floor drain. Those are unsanitary conditions they can lead to. They can lead to mice, they can lead to infestation of rodents and other items along with bugs. We call that all as unsanitary conditions. Backflow prevention is another item with water that we look for. These are little adapters right here, both of those. They fit on outside hose spigots. Some of the hose spigots have built-in backflow prevention already on them. Those are fine. They meet a certain standard which the code requires. We don't ask for anything more on those. The plain spigots, we have stuff at our community development counter that has examples. Plain spigots are just spigots. They don't have backflow prevention. We're always going to get backflow prevention on it, and that's to keep water from being contaminated in our homes and to the city water. So you'll see backflow prevention may be called out on outside spigots, on laundry tub spigots, and also our very famous one is our handheld showers. They have handheld showers that do have backflow prevention already in them. There is a lot of them that are being sold without backflow prevention. The plumbing code calls out where any handheld shower that goes below the spill line of a tub or receptor needs to have backflow prevention on it. Now, the specifics on a handheld shower, they've got different types of backflow prevention that are for them. Some are built in again, some are just little adapters. They don't look anything like this. They're really pretty and clean. They're a nice little silver thing that you just screw on, put your hose to it, and you're done. So there's also inline preventers that you can put in that if you've got it behind a wall, you can put an inline preventer for the plumbing system itself in the piping. Many different ways of doing these things, but all these go back to protection of the water system. Hose spigot here, this is our normal hose spigot. Again, that one would require a backflow preventer. Same thing, normal hose spigot would require a backflow preventer. Our threaded laundry tub, wherever you can attach a hose to it, this is the reason for it. People have hoses on them, they leave them sitting inside the tub. It needs a backflow preventer now. Again, you can do other things with that. If you don't want to put a preventer on there, you could always destroy the threads on it, make it so you can't attach a hose. That would be fine too. It's not pretty, but it would work. This is what we're looking for on toilet tanks. This is our flush valve and our fill valve. And you got 1 inch gap across there. That needs to be up exactly the way that's supposed to be there on that picture, because if that fill valve is underwater, it can actually siphon that water back into your drinking water system. I've only seen this happen once. The only way I could tell was because they had a tidy bowl, one of those little blue discs in there, and it came out of the shower. That was the only time I actually saw it or could verify it, but it does happen. That's why it's in our plumbing code, and this is why we also look for it. So there's different types of valves out there. There's Fluid Master, which black and gray, and it's an adjustable valve. You can always replace them. They're easy to put in. There's some, I don't even know the names of some of the other ones here, but they've got the white ones too. They've got the same ones that are in that picture there with the ball float there. You can use, they all work. They're all for backflow prevention as long as they're adjusted properly. Electrical grounding, we look for, with the panel box, we make sure your electrical grounding is back at the water meter. With that, it's usually a number 4 or number 6 wire that goes from one piece of pipe to the other pipe, and it bypasses around the meter. It's a continuation of the ground of your electrical panel box. A lot of you might have old wells in your homes, and the ground used to go to the casing on the well. Once the well is disabled or sealed, that's where you've got to change the grounding now, and you got to put it to an active system. So the water meter is now your active system. Even if your well is still in place, it goes back to the active water system. So you'll just get a little wire clamp like this, going right around from pipe to pipe. And right here, we got our sizing of the service and to the sizing of the wire that'll go with it. Again, a water meter, not the best of pictures, but your clamp comes here to there. It bypasses that meter. That's your interruption point. Again, you can see the clamp down below there. We've got, it's another example. With electrical, here's one of our biggies. Years ago, they built garages, and garage door openers were not really prevalent. Everyone opened their door by hand. Now we get garage door openers in place, and there was never outlets for garage door openers, so they started wiring electrical cords or extension cords to feed from the outlet to go to your garage door opener. Extension cords are only a temporary type of wiring. They're meant to be used for 90 days, rolled up, put out. They can only be exposed 90 days is what the electrical code actually calls out. So they're not meant as permanent wiring, just the way that the makeup of the casing of the wiring is. So any cords feeding garage door openers, even appliances, lighting, if it's used in a permanent fashion, you need to actually install outlets or wiring to take the place of those electrical cords. So that'll cut down also on house fires. You won't believe how brittle those cords actually get, and people don't see that. So yeah, any extension cords that are feeding anything that's a permanent appliance, or where a permanent appliance needs an outlet and it's being fed by an extension cord of some sort, we're going to get an outlet in there. These pretty much are our top items for hazards. There is one other thing that we do look for, well, a couple other things we look for, and I'll kind of quickly go over it. Gas lines. We make sure that any gas piping is gas piping and not plumbing piping used for gas piping. We don't want to see plumbing valves used as gas valves. We don't want to see plumbing piping trying to be used as gas piping. With that, there is one type of flexible connector. You can't buy it anymore, but it's still in our homes. So there's one flexible connector that we do try to get rid of. And it lost its listing for use many years ago because they broke many, many times. These are brass connectors. They're flexible, and they're not a stainless steel connector anymore. So these old brass connectors, they're usually put out by Brasscraft. They get taken out. We have them removed. You can put in a stainless steel one. You can put in rolled copper, whatever works. As long as it's the new gas piping that is for use with today's gas, we're okay with it. We have all the handouts for that stuff up at the community development counter at the B&I area. All of it's available there. We also do check out in-home structural issues. So a lot of the things that we look at, when I first walk up to a home, first thing I'm looking at is your roof. I'm looking at your landscape. I'm trying to see some telltale signs here of where there might be some failure in the house. A sag in the roof might tell me that maybe there's a broken rafter. Maybe it's not supported properly. Back pitch to the foundation will tell me that you're going to get hydrostatic pressure of water built up. You might have a failing foundation wall. Maybe it's extremely cracked or bulging or buckling. I have run into it in the city here. We have gotten them fixed. Again, it's not something that's, it's going to be detrimental to you, but it is something that we'd still have to address. With structural failures, it could also involve decks. It could involve stairways, floors, walls, all of that stuff. If it's something structural, we'll get it addressed and fixed. Any questions from any of you now? I know we've started them out, so let's go for it. You had your hand up first.
Couple questions. Outlets.
Yes.
Permanent appliances.
Yes.
Include refrigerators and stoves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Refrigerators, stoves.
No, it just wasn't on the list there, so.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
also,
any permanent appliance will have it.
Gas piping to the natural gas dryer. Got steel pipe to a point. Now, this was in the house when I bought it 30 years ago. And from there, it goes down to a reducer, and there's copper pipe
That's fine.
going down. And then I've got,
Yep,
that's fine, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
I have three questions, I guess. First one is how much does the inspection cost?
Okay.
And then how long does it usually take? And then go ahead, start on those.
Okay. Bloomington charges $185 for an inspection. We are one of the cheapest ones out there. It usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half to go through a home. Condos, townhomes, they do go a little faster, but price is still the same. I don't make up the price. But with that, we do encourage homeowners to follow us so they can learn what is corrected, what does not need correction. They can ask questions to a point so we can at least get our job done. But your third question?
How long or how far in advance should I plan for you to come out? If I go today, you're probably not going to come out tomorrow, right? If I call. So
well, since it's a weekend, no. But during the weekday, Usually we can get out there within 24, 48 hours. It depends. I mean, certain times of years it gets busier. So the realty really does kind of push how inspections get done on homes. I mean, as far as how busy we are, I should say.
But it's usually not gonna take a month or something to have you come out.
No, usually we can get out there within 48 hours max, I would say. Again, it does, you know, it depends on the home. I've gone into some homes where they've been pretty bad shape. And some of them have taken 2 hours. Some take an hour, some take an hour and a half. I mean, it depends. It's not that the home always is in bad shape. Maybe it's just the questions or other things that we look at that just take longer. So, you're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
2 questions. After the city does the inspection, does that serve the same as like the bank inspection, or would there be, is there an order in which they should be done if there's more than one?
That's a good question. Very good question. I was kind of hoping someone would ask that one, actually. You got 2 different types of inspections. This one is a mandatory inspection by the city, okay, the time of sale. This could serve as what the bank does if the bank will allow that. But right now, with the market being the way that it is, the banks are really pushing to have a buyer's inspection also. So that you're the owner selling the home. Now, you're going to buy the home. They're going to ask him to have a buyer's inspection now because the bank wants him to be aware of what he's getting into on this home so they don't have any lawsuits or court actions against them. That is what they require now. So sometimes people opt out of that and the banks will let them opt out, but some banks will push that and they won't let them opt out. So I wish there was a better scenario for you on that, but you don't have to pay for the buyer's inspection. All you have to do is cover your time of sale inspection.
And the other question, the garage door, mine's an older one and it doesn't have that sensor that there's some little kid or are those required?
We don't put a mandatory requirement on that for the time of sale. Now, I don't think you can buy a garage door opener nowadays anymore.
Won't even sell it.
Yeah, without those. There's a lot of the old ones that did have an auto reverse feature on it though. They, you know, you could put a block underneath the door and as soon as that door hit it, it would automatically reverse. It was a pressure sensitive one. Now we use the light beams. So it's not a mandatory thing by us right now, but you know, those things do burn out and when they replace them, everything's going to be taken care of. So it's kind of one of those things we kind of look past that.
The city inspection is non-invasive than what you said. You don't pull any panels off the outlets or anything like that. So me being a buyer, I go and get my own inspector and put it in the contract that we want invasive inspection, which would involve getting into the attic.
Well, we look up in the attic.
Even if it's blocked off, the house I looked at right now, you know, the city inspection said they didn't look into the attic because it was blocked off with clothes and stuff.
We don't wreck anything. We try not to wreck anything that's already there.
So you guys are covered because it was blocked off. You can't tell what's in the attic.
You're right. Well, I haven't come across any homeowner yet that will allow me to wreck something just to take a look. Right, I know, but I mean to even break a seal on something. They say, no, that's sealed. We don't want it. We don't want that seal broken.
Understand, you know, you don't want to knock down the sheetrock to look at the wiring.
The buyer's inspection, on the other hand, they'll do it. The homeowner is out of the house and gone. He will come in there and open it up.
It has to be in the contract that it's going to be invasive inspection.
Well, that's a contract. I don't know what's all involved with that. But we do look at that. There are circumstances where I'll pull a panel cover off and I'll check the wiring sequence to make sure that wiring does meet the fuse sizes, make sure that that's correct at least. There's many instances that I go a little bit beyond what we should just because there's something that's a red flag there that we got to make sure of.
Made me think of in my house, I want to put in a microwave above the stove, and can the outlet be up in the cabinet, or does it?
Yeah, it can be up in the cabinet. No, we don't promote that. But yes, your outlet will be up in the cabinet usually. That's where they always put it. They always put them up in the cabinet, so it's out of sight, out of mind. They put a little hole through the cabinet and feed the cord up. Yeah. Sir, you had one.
How long is a city inspection good for?
These inspections are good for 1 year. So from the date you have it done, from 1 year from that date, they're good. So I recommend that if anybody is going to sell their home or whatever, get it done just before they're going to put it on the market. Don't get it done 2 or 3 months ahead of time and then put it on the market 3 months later. Get it done just before you put it on to give yourself that extra time advantage for listing, just because this economy, houses, they don't move real fast, though they are picking up. So, I mean, sales have gone a lot better than I've anticipated them. I've been hearing of homes going in 3, 7 days in some cases. But a lot of them still sit on the market, so plan for that. When you do a home or when you set up your home inspection, make sure you're ready to put your house on the market. We have handouts at the front staff, or at our front counter, I should say, which will go through all the items that we kind of look at. Guarantee it doesn't cover everything, because we can't give you a booklet, you won't read it. But we can give you a pamphlet, and it'll kind of tell you some of the most common things. And maybe you can do a little preemptive work yourself and try to correct some of the stuff before one of us comes out there.
I've got an island in the kitchen, but no water there. Somebody said I need a GFI plug there anyway. Well,
that is a code requirement during which maybe that island was done. That requirement, is it a movable island, or is it a set island?
No, it's pretty well set.
Okay. When it was put in, at the time that outlet was put in, or the island or the renovation was done, it would have had to meet the code at that time. Under today's code, the kitchen would be all GFI protected. Okay? Any outlets in there would be GFI protected. But we don't ask for that on time of sale, no. We don't ask for that on time of sale. So, as long as it's not going to pose a shock or a fire hazard, we're good with it. So, any other questions?
I do. Number one, I was thinking about buying a house down the street, but then I saw the garage door opener, and I know they moved out of state because I saw them. Next thing you know, there was all these restoration trucks there. I don't know if they had water damage or somebody came in and took the pipes out. I don't know, but it was all these restoration. What would you look for if you were buying a house that, had damage when they weren't there? I don't know if somebody, something happened or
well,
it wasn't that cold.
That's where your buyer's inspection would really come in handy. Yeah, if you have a house that is under restoration or something, you see that, that's where I would get a buyer's inspection, because yeah, you're talking about possible freezing pipes, maybe mold damage, maybe it even goes further than that. The well? Yeah, wells, which I don't even have close to enough time to cover all of the stuff that we look for.
That spigot adapter there, that has to be on every outside spigot and some inside spigots?
Yeah, your laundry spigot.
So in the laundry room, that has to be on there?
It'll be on the laundry spigot. It'll be on exterior hose spigots.
Every exterior.
Yeah, unless you've got the built-in backflow prevented style spigots already on your home. Then you don't need those.
And those are fairly recent, though?
Those are somewhat recent. They're not real recent, but they've been around for many years.
When you were talking about the hoses laying in the sink, if they're hooked to the washer, do you still need that thing on?
No, the washer has an air brake on it.
Okay.
That can't get backflow from there.
Okay.
So.
Home Depot sells them?
Yeah, Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's, hardware stores. Screws on, walk away, you're done. It's easy. Any other questions for anybody?
I noticed the fire detector, but not CO.
Oh, good, good, good. You know, I didn't even think about bringing that one up. Okay, carbon monoxide detection is required by state statute, but this is a big if right now. We're waiting to see it in code yet. See, our fire marshal, I already sent him off an email to make sure what the requirements were for this. And his response was that it was right now a learning curve. They wanted to get carbon monoxide detection in homes, but it's a learning curve right now, and it's not in any codes. It's not required by any other city statutes usually. Some cities put it into their, maybe their rental code or whatever it may be for rentals or multifamily dwellings. They may put it in there. But his response was basically get the word out, tell people about the requirement of carbon monoxide. It is required by state statute, but I can't enforce it. So I give out pamphlets to everybody. Carbon monoxide, carbon monoxide, carbon monoxide. It's present, it's in our home. We tighten up our homes more and more for energy efficiency. Now it's become an issue. The more we tighten it up, the more it becomes an issue. Years ago, we didn't have vinyl siding. We didn't have energy efficient windows. We had leaky homes, and these leaky homes gave us air changes throughout, and carbon monoxide wasn't as much of an issue then. But with saving energy and making our homes more efficient and less costly, now it's become an issue.
Carbon monoxide detectors, do you have them any position, you know, like in the furnace room?
Well, you'll get false readings. Yeah, you'll get false readings of those in a furnace room next to any gas appliance just because of that sudden purge that comes off. You want to have them located within 10 feet of any bedroom. So we're not talking about going through a wall, we're talking about openings to doors. So 10 feet from bedrooms is the requirement that's out there. They do also require or recommend that you install them on each level. The height can vary, depends on how you like to heat your house. If you like your house cold, I would put it lower. If you like it warm, I would put it higher, because carbon monoxide is controlled by the temperature of your home. Gas will tend to fluctuate and float that way. Anybody else?
Smoke detectors, you mentioned something about not having it outside the bathroom.
Well, outside the bathroom, the heat and humidity from them tend to set them off, and people just take them down, not put them back up.
So it shouldn't be in the hallway right there.
Well, you can put them in the hallway. It's just you got to try to maintain a distance from the bathroom. So when you open that door, all the humid air that comes out, all the moisture that comes out doesn't start setting that thing off. Well, then you're probably fine then. No, they don't want it in the kitchen near any cooking appliances. False set-offs usually tell people that they don't need their detector then. They take it down and they never put it back up. So those are just locations where they don't want them installed, because for that reason only. It starts going off, people take it down, and they just think they're a nuisance. They never put them back up. And then when they do have a fire, there is no detector to help them out there. Thank you.
Is this online?